Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Good, Bad, and Ugly of Business. I'm your host, Catryn Becker. In this podcast, we love to discuss all of the things that make people successful because we know that while a smart person learns from their mistakes, a genius learns from the mistakes of others. So I bring in all of these guests so that we can learn what they've learned, where they've failed, where they've succeeded, and what they've learned along the way, so that we can either fail faster or avoid the mistakes altogether. My guest today is amazing. I don't know if you guys have ever had the experience where you just see someone and you're like, I'm going to be friends with them. But that's what I did to this next guest. I just forced her to be my friend. So it is my
that happens.
She is an incredible singer, songwriter, Billboard-Charting artist, soon to be author. She is a vocal coach. She does it all. She's an incredible human, and I'm so excited and honored to introduce you to all of her. Her name is April Diamond. April, welcome to the show.
Hi, Catryn. Thank you so much. That's such a sweet introduction. I appreciate that. I do a lot of things. I go wide, as we have been, taught. But yeah, I love it all.
Well, and it all makes sense, all the things that you're doing, because your message is really about finding your voice and being able to express it. And you've done that so beautifully throughout your career. So I would love for you to talk a little bit more about what it is that you're doing currently. And then we'll get into some of the great good, bad, and ugly detailed questions.
Okay. Well, I am in the middle of some promotion of a couple of singles that are going to do really well on out in national radio and charting in the big music business. So I'm really proud and excited about that. You can find that on Spotify, April Diamond. But the big thing that we're going to talk about today, I think, is your voice. And being a vocal coach for many years, I've helped a lot of people find their own personal sound, both with initially I started off as a vocal coach for singing. And then I added speaker training to help people with their speaking voice, because I learned through the process of doing and coaching the way that I do my process, that it helped speaking voices tremendously. So for speakers, for podcasters, for people like you who interview people, for everybody, for somebody that just wants to feel confident to have a conversation with someone else and speak their truth, and tell their story, everyone should feel confident about their voice. So I created a voice training system called Let the Voice Out. And my goal with that is to help people to learn to let their voice out and not to be inhibited by maybe sometimes feeling, odd about their sounds and that sort of thing, because it's kind of a common thing. And as a trainer, I've experienced that most people have a bit of inhibition about the sound of their voice. And so my goal is to help them better elevate their voice and build it to the way they want it to be. So I am working on that. I have a TED Talk coming up, and you'll see that very soon on this very subject, and a book, and so many exciting things. And I'm just privileged and honored to be here and to be able to tell my story.
So. I love this so much. And, there's the phrase that your mess is your message. So I'm curious if this was something that you struggled with growing up in finding your voice.
Yes, it was. I think I got bullied a lot. Let's just be honest. I think I got bullied a lot for a lot of reasons, whatever bullies decide to bully about. But I remember at a young age having a lot of fear, and even at a young age, I knew, okay, if you're afraid of everything, you're never going to do anything. Right. So I'm going to have to flip the script here. And I'm going to have to just go nose to nose with my fear and dive into it. And, I'm going to have to conquer these, 999 fears one at a time. Right. So I started doing that. And at a young age, my grandmother, I tell this story a lot, but my grandmother was very, she knew what we were all meant to do. Mm. And we all kind of were like, how do you know? But grandmother was relentless. And she came to me and said, "No, I want you to sing that beautiful song I heard you sing, and I want you to sing in church." And we were a church-going family, we still are. But my grandmother hounded me relentlessly as a kid. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to do this.
And, that's amazing.
Yeah, she hounded me at all the family events and holidays, and I ran out of excuses as a 7-8-year-old. I'm like, okay, if I just do it, maybe she'll leave me alone. And I did. And when, because there's wisdom there, and grandmother knew what she heard. She's like, my granddaughter's got something. I know that she's meant to do something. So from that point on throughout my life, it was a reoccurring theme for me to push forward not just music, although I'm a singer and I've done lots of musicals and performed concerts and things like that. But to go out and be a trainer and help other people with their voices. And it's been an incredible journey. So
Well, the thing I love so much about what you said, and yeah, it's just the power of having someone in your corner. Yeah. The power of having that cheerleader, you know, helping to propel you farther than you probably ever would have imagined doing yourself. Like, think how different your life would be without your grandmother's influence.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be tremendously different. And, you know, it's the grounding. We sometimes like, oh, our family is this, or, you know, our family is not perfect. They definitely make mistakes. And sometimes it's not always helpful. But, you know, once in a while they get it right. And, you know, it's the thing that sets us off on our path. And it's, you know, it's powerful. So
absolutely.
Even in those times where, like I was just describing a second ago about, you know, bullying, I think I got bullied. And when I would sing, people would come to me and tell me that I wasn't a very good singer, or they told me they didn't like my dress, or people would like literally complain to the director about me for something that they said I did. And I was like, what did I do? You know, the jealousy machine and the bullying machine is a real thing. And so it took me a while throughout my life, it's been a reoccurring thing that it's there, you know, and I say that because not, you know, you need to feel sorry for me. I'm good. Yeah. It's at a point where when you know that you want to do something and you seem to get resistance, and maybe that resistance comes at you in a much bigger way, you know, that might be an indication that you're actually supposed to do it. Anything that we're really meant to do, things are going to come against it. And I think I've learned in life, and I'm still learning this lesson, that you've got to decide what it is you want, and you can't let anything stop you. And you and I both, you know this too. Yep. Some of the most successful people that we know, they say they wake up in the morning and they say, this is what I'm going to do. And they set their intention and they get their list and they go after it every day, piecing away. And somebody not liking it is not part of the equation, although it happens, you know. And in the world of singing and vocal training and speaking and that kind of thing, I think that there's a certain kind of love that people get when you're standing up in front of a group of people. And I think being recognized makes people feel good. You know, it's like,
oh, absolutely.
And I want to be like that person. And when someone sees someone else doing that, maybe they have a little, you know, like, ah, who are you? You know, a little bit of that, you know. And it's real. And I say that because I've spent a lot of time training people and helping them to understand that everyone's got their own thing, you know, and you can't let that influence you. You got to like be strong and insulate yourself against those things. And the way you do that is you become more powerful in yourself. You know, and you believe in, this is my mission, this is what I'm meant to do, so I can't let anything stop me. And one day, who knows, you know, some of those bullies might turn around and like shake your hand and go, good job, which I've had that happen too. So,
but don't expect that, because that's not typical.
No, don't expect it, but you know, it could happen. But in the world of singing and vocal training and that kind of thing, there's a definitely, you know, that is a factor. But being able to tell your story the way you want to tell it, and to feel joyful about it, and to have that focus, like, I want to speak to these people about this thing, and I want to be powerful with it, and I want to be intentional with it. And I know, because either you've been through it or you've learned some things, you know, you have a message to give the world. And so what I do is I help people, I empower them to be more powerful in their speech and like the sound of their voices specifically.
Oh, and it's so important. And I think it really brought it to bear with COVID, when now all of a sudden people are doing a lot more virtual things. They're hearing themselves, they're seeing themselves on camera. I know that I was using Zoom before the pandemic, and people were like, what is this Zoom thing? Like, I don't want to be on camera. I don't like the way my voice sounds, la, 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 la. So in one hand,
voice, I love my hair, my face, my this, my that.
All the things. Yeah. Do we ever sit and but we're taught, right, that we can't sit and talk about all the good things about ourselves, because that's bragging.
Right.
You know, you have to be humble. You can't talk about the great stuff about ourselves, but there's a point there where it's not bragging, where it's not being, you know, any of the negative connotations, but to own it and be like, yes, I am these things, and that's okay.
Yes. And it is okay. And by the way, some of the greatest people, the most powerful, successful people say the greater that you are, the more the people that you're talking to will be. Because when you have a message, if you don't go out in the world with your message, even as disjointed or difficult or awkward as you may feel doing it, it's still needed.
Yeah.
It's still needed. Like, we need your voice. Well, and some people say, well, there's a lot of speakers out there, they're already saying what I'm saying. Or I used to do this with singing too. Oh, there's plenty of singers out there. They don't need me singing. Yes, they do. And they do, because they need my perspective. They need like my story behind it. And if you think about it, what's interesting is, think about how people like to hear other people sing the same song. Oh, sing this song, let me hear your version of it, right? It's like, it was always interesting to me as I was training people for singing, going, isn't it interesting? What's the psychology behind people wanting to hear the same song sung by different people?
And that is a great question. I love thinking about that.
Yeah. Like, oh, can you sing this one? I love this song. I want to hear how you sing it. And they say that, and they're probably unknowingly going, I want to hear your message. Like, where do you come from? So I want to tell people that sing and speak, whatever, everything making sound, like it could be the exact same subject, but you communicate to another group of people that maybe don't receive it the same way as someone else. Like, we've all got our people, we've all got our niche, right?
I love talking about that, because it's so important that, we think we just we deliver our content, our message one way, but not everyone receives it the same way. Like, we know there's the 5 love languages, that we receive love in 5 different ways. Every type of personality test out there has at least 4 different quadrants that people fit into. So we know that you're at least only talking to 25% of the people if you can't adapt your message and be able to say it in a different way. So it's really powerful to think of that, and to realize there's billions of people on the planet. Like, even if you just touch the lives of a few, isn't that worth it?
It is worth it, because they're going to go and tell their people, and that's how the message keeps going.
Yeah.
I feel like that, part of my struggle growing up to get in front of an audience, and by the way, I was not always a confident person in front of the microphone. I was scared. Okay. Even though I got through my 8-year-old performance in my little church, after that, it was rough all the way. Like, did you feel immediately more comfortable to sing on stage after that? No, I did not. I mean, add 20 years to that, I was starting to get comfortable. Okay. And I got better, and I did it, and I made myself do it. And there was a lot of joy, in it. And there was actually, the thing about your speech and your singing and those kinds of things is there's also therapy to it.
Yes.
So if you've had some trauma, like we've all been through something, it's like your speech and your voice is you, and there's some healing. Like, if you research healing and vibrations of your own voice, you'll see that at certain frequencies, it heals your body. Like, literally, to sing is actually healthy to your mind and clears out your sinuses. And the science says that it heals depression over time if you sing regularly. Okay. I'm like, I prescribe singing regularly with a group of people at least 4 times a week. I'm not kidding. Google the science. You'll be blown away. Like, really? So science backs that up. So, the science is behind us. The world is kind of hard on us, hard on us. That person looks large, that person looks small, their hair is wrong. There's always going to be those little criticisms, and
you really can't listen to those to get up and talk about it. I love to think about the voice as being halfway between our head and our heart. And so when those two are in balance and you're speaking from both your head and your heart at the same time, that's when people listen. Like, those are the voices that you're like, oh, who's talking? Who's singing? What's going on? That there's that balance and that harmony between those different places. I don't feel like it's an accident that our throat is equidistant between the two.
Ooh, I like that word. It is equidistant between the two. Yes, I like that. I like interesting words. I was like, wait, I want to use that one.
I'm like a hoarder for words.
I like that. I need to be that way. I think that you're right. It's your heart. That's what flows out of your heart is the direction that your life goes, and it's what comes out of your mouth, and what goes, how you think and those kinds of things. So your speech is a direct result of what's in your heart.
Yeah.
We definitely, and to get those aligned to be that's a powerful person. That's a strong person. That's a person that knows what their mission is. And I routinely have my people that I train write their mission statement and then read it and, make a short one, make a longer one, and tell your story. And it's interesting how a lot of people that are speakers that are constantly speaking have not done that yet. And I think this is going to enable you to have a harder belief in what you're saying when you know every day, this is my mission statement. I think a lot of the speakers tell us to get up and read our mission statement daily, maybe adjust it if we're adding something or changing it or whatever. It's our hardcore belief, and you're right, it flows out of our heart, and we've got to get our heart right.
Absolutely. Most people only speak out of their heads. And you can even tell someone like, okay, that was great, like mental presentation that you just did. Now you got to add some heart to it and see the difference it makes. I mean, just how we can slow things down or speed things up or get louder or quieter. I mean, it's so much texture and ability to change the meaning of something. And I think that's part of what's so lost in our society of having so many emails and texts, that all of that nuance is completely erased. Sentences like I'd love to cheer people on. So I love to say things like, I'm happy for you. But there's so many people that would say things in like, oh, I'm happy for you, right? Like, instead of like, I'm so happy for you. Like,
yeah.
The difference between the two of them. So it's such an interesting thing. And I love that you're out there helping to have people harness that and be able to get their stuff on here, because we are here to influence one another and to be part of each other's lives. And if we can't communicate that, it makes it so much harder.
It does. And it makes us avoid, because we anticipate that that's what's going to happen. And I say, anticipate the best. And I say to those watching that are, you're thinking about your speaking, or you're thinking about, oh, I can never listen to myself on a recording, I can never do those things. You know what? Go ahead and make some mistakes.
Yeah.
Just make some mistakes. And if you watch my Instagrams, most of them are straight up live every time. I just go live. Yes,
you're so good at that.
I wasn't good at it in the beginning. Sometimes I just stared at the camera and went, hi.
I hope someone comes on.
Oh my gosh, 2 or 3 years of this. So I just want to tell people, look, the thing that your people like, and that's why I call it my follower family, because they've been hanging with me all these years, supporting me. It's because probably the one common comment I get is that April is real. Sometimes I fumble words. Sometimes my glasses fall off. Sometimes my hair is like, and I'm always doing this when I'm on my, I'm like, oh, I see that hair.
That one wild hair.
That one, and it's always bugging me. So I'm like, let me fix that. And then I'm like, no matter what it is today, it's going to be what it is. Because it's not perfect, and I like to look good and I dress up and I have my whole regime that I do. But here's the thing. It's not always going to be perfect, and you're going to see the flaws and you're going to see those things, and you just got to let it go a little bit and be yourself. The perfection is not what people are attracted to. It's like you said, it's your heart. It's what you have to say. It's your mission statement. It's how you put yourself out there. It's what you believe. And we need that. Sure. Clean it up. I'm all for glam and all that because I'm April Diamond. Heck yes.
But you are super glam. You're my glam goddess friend.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, you look great too, and your hair looks beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
I think be as beautiful as you want to be. That's another thing is, sometimes us women get bullied for looking too good or looking too whatever. And I just took that too and threw it away. And I watched Dolly Parton, and she's one of my heroes, and she doesn't care. I go, I'm your mini me, Dolly. I love you. I took on her thing. She's like, well, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And I'm going to play my guitar and sing. And I'm like, okay, good.
And you're going to play your piano and sing.
I am. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I might make a mistake here and there, go in and edit it out. But you've got to get your message out there. Don't let those things be the reason why you don't. Because we don't care we don't care if you're perfect. We're not concerned about perfection.
Well, and I love that, taking this message and, yes, we're talking about singers and speakers and, podcasters, anyone who's out there, but we're all speaking to each other all the time. And so even like business leaders, how they get their mission and get their employees on board with the mission. I mean, it's the same philosophy for all of it, of how we communicate to one another. So even if those people listening are like, well, I'm not a speaker, I'm not a singer, you're still talking to other people and you still want to influence them in a positive way and be able to get your message across and be heard. Because at the end of the day, we all want to be heard. And it feels so good to be heard and to be seen. Like everyone loves that.
That's absolutely the truth. And to what you're saying to the speakers out there that, well, my voice is just like this. It's just like that. It doesn't really change. You can change your voice to make it whatever you want to make it. The problem is that we are, and you're on the microphone, so you know this. When you listen back to yourself, you're probably used to how you sound now, right? You're used to your voice. Okay. So there's a certain voice you always go to because that's your go-to. And this is in my TED Talk and in my book, which is your voice can do considerably more than where you sit at that certain level of your voice. Highs, lows, depth, whatever, brightness. People routinely listen back to themselves and go, oh, it's okay, but I don't know why my voice says that. I don't know why my voice says that. And those are the questions that I'm solving in my book, saying those are unexplored sounds that are part of who you are as a speaker and as a human. And one of the reasons why I think we don't like certain sounds in our voice, and I don't know if you can relate to this or not, is that it's unexplored voice that we've never used before. So when you elevate your voice to make to be a character, to tell a story a different way, to get attention, to get attention, but do it in a heartfelt, like meaningful, passionate way. Like if I talk up here and I'm getting excited, I'm being like a girl, or I want to be really mellow. Once upon a time, whatever I want to say, I can draw in my audience by telling the story in that manner and elevating my voice. But what tends to happen is that our brain and our body, at first, if you're not used to doing that, our brain and our body rejects that because that's not our go-to sound. You know what I'm saying? Like I call it the vocal center, where your voice sort of sits. That's like square one. And then there's lots of room up here and lots of room down here to elevate and use your voice. So specifically speakers that are watching this, you can elevate your voice and you can deepen your storytelling, and to the point where people are captivated by the way you talk. And why is that important? Because when people sit and listen to you, there's a percentage of how much they get right in that moment. Now, granted, there's recordings and that kind of thing, but when they're sitting there listening to you, they only absorb what, 10 or 15%? Yeah. It sticks. Well, we can increase that percentage by being passionate, right? And
I love the idea. I love the idea of thinking of it as your vocal center, because then you can think of it as your comfort zones. And we all know that the magic is just at the edges, and being able to push that and explore that is probably something that I don't really think about, haven't thought about. So what a great message. I want to change the subject for just a minute, because I think this was great in talking about just in everyone in messaging. But you have a song that is out for Grammy consideration called I've Got a Secret. And I'm fascinated by this process, because I think from, the viewer at home watching the Grammys, watching the Oscars, watching the Emmys, watching any of those award shows, we don't really understand all the behind the scenes things that happen. I mean, the Grammys happen in like February, and yet by August you had to submit it and do this whole thing. So can you walk us through that process? Because that's such a, I think it really ties in well to what we've been discussing, in that you were like, here's my soul. Like, now you need to judge it. Right?
Yeah. The being a part of the Grammy Association, they have these, deadlines where you submit your song, and they put you in submission, and you are putting out your FYC for your consideration to your Grammy voting community. And, everybody votes. There's a time period. We're in that middle of that time period currently. And then the nominations come out. So the process is getting, your best music out there and submitting everything. And we've done this a few times. And my team at Del Oro Music has been very successful. They got a Grammy nomination last year. Robert got a couple Grammys for the stuff he worked on with remixes and some big artists too. And so as independent artists, we're like, I'm like, wow, this is incredible. So this year, we really put the pedal to the metal, and we're finishing an album, but we wanted to pick like the song that was like prime and ready to go. And I Got a Secret is, it was something that we came up with in literally just the last couple months. And thanks to the amazing songwriting abilities of Robert Eibach, David Longoria, and my idea and the way I put it out there. And they just magically, we all work together to tell the story and produce it. It takes all the genius of these people to make it happen, but they did an incredible job. And I Got a Secret is just kind of, we've always got inside thoughts right? And you want to tell somebody, it's like, man, I wanted to tell this person this for so long, and I could never do it. And I've had some moments where I wanted to tell somebody how I felt, and I was like, I remember one time that I finally was like ready to do that, and that's what the song's about. And I think we've all, had our either secret crush or some deep moment that we wanted to tell somebody about or whatever it was. So that's what the song is about. And the response has been tremendous. This I got a secret is, we've all got a little bit of a secret, and one day you want to tell it. And so that was my idea, my thought behind it, is I wanted to tell that secret. But hopefully they will love it and everyone will vote for it.
Yeah, it's absolutely great. And what I think is so interesting is just thinking about all of the steps that go into creating a song. Like, we just turn on the radio, if anyone turns on the radio. More often it's just I pull up Spotify.
Or stream the song. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I don't even know what the radio stations are locally anymore. It's just I pick up my Spotify or Pandora or whatever. But it's you singing, but then there's the producing that goes behind it. And it's almost like, if you've ever seen, like, I know that I remember seeing this during like when the Marvel movies were really big, when they were showing some of the footage of them filming before they added all the CGI effects. And it just looks so weird and flat.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that with singing, like all the producing that they can do to make it so much fuller and add so much more texture. I mean, there's a whole team back there working on it, right?
There's a whole team. Well, there's the whole three of us. And then there's me in the studio coming back, singing something. Okay, we've got 25, 30, 40 takes of that verse. Let's try this verse. Let's do 40 more takes. And that doesn't mean that I'm not a good singer, because I'm a strong singer. But it's like, you got to find the right take that tells the story. So when you walk into the studio as a singer and you sing through the song a few times, getting into the studio and recording on a microphone you can hear yourself think, it's a whole new level. It's way beyond just even beyond that microphone you've got there. It goes deep. And for those of us, like when I first started recording with David and at my record company, I was just like, what am I hearing? I can't even, like, even to this day, I have some recording things on my phone and headphones and stuff, but it's nothing like when I go into the studio. That is an epic here, like it's just epic, and it only can be replicated in that studio. So singing wise, it takes you through a wealth of emotions, and it takes you through everything that you've ever learned to do what you do, and to become a powerful storyteller, and to become accurate. Accuracy. Be accurate, tell the story, have passion, take breaths, know when to come in, make it fancy, make it moody, make it this, like, make all hit all those points.
It's a lot to keep in your head.
It's a lot to keep in your head. And sometimes it took me a while to get confident, like, yeah, I like that, or no, I don't like that. Some days were just emotional. When I started this journey, recording my first few songs, just like, oh, wow, I'm awful. Oh, what's going on?
And I know that's not true. I know that's not true. I've heard you sing.
Thank you. Well, it takes a minute to understand what's going on. And so to those who are listening that are singers who have tried to sing on a microphone or even speak, whatever, you got to do it a lot. You got to do it a muscle. Yeah, the voice is a series of muscles. Actually, it's a thing that happens between the diaphragm and the mouth and the space, and letting go of the relaxation. I think the relaxation and the stress is probably the biggest part. When you finally let those things go, then the mechanics of making sound start to really connect. They start to lock in.
And I love that I've heard you say that anybody can sing, because this is something that I think, like, I was in choir growing up, singing in church, doing musicals, all the things.
Nice.
And my mom, bless her heart, she's tone deaf. And I know she'll be listening to this and laughing. But she always
we can fix that.
And that's what I would tell her. She'd always be like, I don't know how you're my daughter. How can you do this when I cannot? And I would always say, anybody can learn to sing. I just didn't know how to teach anybody to sing. So I love hearing you say that. I felt so validated.
Yeah, anyone can sing. It's a mechanics thing. And, in regards to that, people watching who think I just want to say this, who think that they don't need vocal training or voice lessons, that kind of thing. I used to hear this a lot. Well, my friends say I sound good, so I'm fine. I'm like, you know what? We all need to work. Like, I want to go back and work with my vocal coach from college. I don't even know if she's still teaching, but
we'll pull her out of retirement.
Yeah, exactly. We all need training to get it to the next level. I think it really depends on just how good you want to be. Some people will tell me, I just want to be able to do, I'm like, look, I don't do just. I'm like, let's go all the way. Let's make your voice as powerful as it can be. And I think that one of the hindrances to people like going out and seeking vocal training and that kind of thing is because maybe they don't want to be told, oh, what if somebody tells me my voice isn't very good? What if they tell me that I'm a lost cause and I can't, I can't.
I think you're so right.
You can improve, and there's, and if you go to a vocal coach and it's not working, you might need to go find another one. You find the one that is the right one for you. I'm building a team of voice coaches with the people that I've trained over the years. And I'm like, okay, you guys all need to be teachers. There's about 7 or 8 of them. And because I really feel like traditional voice training hasn't always, and I'll probably get heat for this, but whatever. Traditional voice training has not been friendly to individuals that they consider, oh, that person doesn't sing, they're no singer. Well, you don't have to be a singer if you don't want to be, but if you want to, you can. Or if you just want to sing for your own benefit, for fun, go sing karaoke, whatever you want to do, that is all viable. It's all a possibility. It's just a matter of getting to work and working the basics, But hearing people say, oh, I can't sing, or you can't sing, or my voice, I'm no singer, and, kind of comparing yourself to other people that have a lot of natural abilities. Like, it's great to have natural abilities, but who cares about natural abilities? When you got to build your voice from the ground up, you got to do it. And if you have natural abilities, you need to get training, because you need to learn how to use those, because the voice will degrade or either move forward. So we all need to learn, is the point.
And it's the same with sports. I mean, you'll see these kids that have natural ability in basketball, soccer, football, whatever it is. Yeah. You don't just stop there and go, he's a natural, I don't need to do anything, he's got this, right? Little Ricky goes to camps and has practices and does all of the things. And it's the same for the voice. I think of like the early days of American Idol with Simon Cowell, when people were coming up and they were showing all of that, and they were a bit nastier in the beginning than I feel they are lately. Go to YouTube, younger people, if you want a good time. But people, that's exactly it. People would say, oh, but my family says I sounded good. And then they'd come
my
up
friends
there.
say I sound good. I'm fine. I'm like, well, I could just go in the studio and they could just like do stuff to my voice. You really want to you could do that, but like, I think the world wants more than that. I think that the world of singing and many of these worlds, like, they want to see the legit, show us the stuff, when you're not being, when we're not listening to your download, how do you sound on the stage live?
Right.
We want to know.
Right.
And I think that singers should be that. And if you want to be that, you can be that. It's important to show up for our own selves, for our own lives, for our confidence, in whatever capacity. You may never stand on a TED Talk stage or be, part of the Grammy Association and get a Grammy, who knows? That's pretty far down the road for both of those things. But it doesn't mean that your self-expression is not important. Like, it is important to the world. Right. There are lots of things, like what you're doing is important because you're telling people stories and you're relating to it, and somebody's going to watch it and go, oh, I really needed that today because I really didn't want to XYZ, or, I've let my thing go. I'm not going to finish that book, or I'm not going to make that call, or I'm not going to talk to that group of ladies. We make decisions every day, and it might be the difference between someone actually going out and doing what they're meant to do and not. That's why we need it.
It's all a choice. And I was going to go one direction with my next question, but I love what you just said. And so I want to ask you a question there. I mean, you are glamorous, right? You are so beautiful, and you just radiate that. And I know with women particularly, it can be a hard thing making women friends, because women are we get all up in our heads and we make all sorts of assumptions about what your life must be like. And, yes, we do all the things. How has that been for you, and how has that impacted your life?
I feel like I've been run over by a Mack truck several times emotionally by that. I feel like I've hit a wall with so many people that I trusted, and then all the backbiting that's gone on. Let's just be honest. It has happened to me so often. Yeah. And in every space, in every capacity. And I think that me being a fighter, I think sometimes I had to sit down and cry and go, I'm going to stop doing this. Are you really going to stop doing this? Or are you going to get up? You know? And I don't think you can get away from it. I think that it's just, unfortunately, our society is like that. And I've had people say all kinds of things about me, or, you know, talk behind my back, or say one thing to me and say something to another person. And, you know, these things affect some of it, and some of it has affected the progress, you know, like because of the chat, you know. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, if you're that person, it will come back to you. Okay. It's not a good place to be. I think that people that do that need to take a deep, hard look at their own selves and say, really what you're saying is you want that. You want to look a certain way. You want to sound a certain way. You want to be a certain way, then go get it. Yeah. If something in your own self has denied you of that, then think about, what have I done to, you know, sabotage my own self? Let me go out and do what I want to do for myself. Go get it. So for me, you know, I just took the criticism and I used it as fire, and I went, oh, really? Okay.
Watch this.
Yeah, exactly. Really? Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it's not, it's going to bounce off. It didn't always bounce off. It does now.
It is a hard road to get to that point. And it's something that I've had to learn. And it's something I work with a lot of my clients. And what I always say is that the thing that you are envious of the most is something that you have within yourself that you haven't let out yet. So instead of looking at that person and being jealous, it should be inspiration. Like, they've got it. How do I find it in me? How do I let this part out and be more of my authentic full self?
That is absolutely 100% spot on. And I think one of the reasons I named my vocal training system Let the Voice Out is because there are so many stories of people coming to me nearly every day for the past 10, 12 years or more and beyond, telling me their stories of why people told them they couldn't sing. And I'm like, how about this? Give us a year and we'll get you up singing, and send them a nice little video and be like, hi, mic drop. Welcome to the new voice that was always there that I didn't know. And so, you know, you go out and get it, you know, spend more time on yourself and less time being critical of others. And if somebody's being too critical of you, then that means you're probably doing something right. Keep doing it.
There you go. There you
Keep doing
go.
It. Keep looking great. Keep getting better. Keep being more powerful. You know, I think it took me a while to finally go, okay, I deserve more than that. I think I have a message that's like sitting here, and I'm talking to people individually in my private, you know, lesson world, but it needs to go out in a bigger stage. And I told God, and I prayed, and I said, you know what? I don't have to do this. I will do something else. I don't have to be, you know, known or whatever. It's fine. I don't have an ego. I really don't have an ego about it. But God put me on this path to say, I've got a message to the world through you, and I want you to give it the best way possible. And you might as well look good doing it. So
I feel like there's no other questions I can ask. I mean, that seems like that is the moment to end. That's the vibe. That's the vibe.
Go get it. That's why I like JT. And I want to bring up JT because that's how you and I met.
Yes.
And he's a rough around the edges, like, man, who is this guy? He's so grumpy, but he'll be watching this, I'm sure. But I gotta say, you know, he's one of those rare people that at the end of the day, it's like, what have you missed? Go fill in the holes, start time blocking your time, and make more things happen in a day. Get up, keep track, come on, make it happen bigger and bigger. Of course, people are going to be cutting you down. Of course, people are going to be, you know, but you can't let that, you know, he's very, you know, very hard. I think for some people, it might not be their cup of tea in terms of hard line. I'm okay with being on the hot seat, you know, because that's how I've gotten here. But there's some truth to that. There's a lot of truth to that. And I think if you're not afraid to let yourself be on the hot seat and cry a little bit and realize, what have I done? Or why did I wait so long? Or, you know, there's all kinds of we feel like we failed in certain ways and we're all hard on ourselves, but
he puts the mirror up, like there's no hiding. Like you have to look at all the things. And I think that's where we're so good at justifying things. Humans are just so good at justifying things.
Correct.
And he doesn't allow you to justify it. So
no,
you either got to face it or you run away.
Yes, it's true. And you got to have, when you go up in levels in life, whatever that you do, whatever the thing is you do that you want to do, and you have all this pain attached to it, or bullied, or people saying things about whatever it is, you gotta make a pact with yourself and say, I owe this to myself and to the world, and I can't let those things in. I gotta settle myself with that. When that happens, here's how I'm gonna react, or here's what I'm gonna ignore, and here's the group of people I'm gonna be associated with, the ones that lift me up. And you gotta make a decision and stick with it. And sometimes people in your own tribe and your own family and your own space are going to give you a hard time and not agree with you. And it's okay. You don't have to agree. I got my mission.
No. And as your voice changes, your frequency is changing, right? I mean, your voice is vibrating differently. And sometimes the people who were at your vibration aren't anymore. And that's okay. There's space. Come on up. Come join us.
I think that changing and leveling up is very important. I think that building your voice to another level, every time you go into a new space, at least in my world, in the world of singing and speaking and telling a story, like there's always going to be that awkward time or that painful time that you're like, oh, this is so hard. I keep putting myself here. And even as recent as just in the last 2-3 months, I have probably put myself through so much. Oh my gosh. Like wake up in the morning going, oh, I don't know how many, I don't know, and you know what, it gets done, and it gets done in the best way possible, because I tell myself, you know what, you're going to make it. You're going to be fine. You got this far. Keep going. You know what? You got this far. Keep going and keep going and keep going, and smile at those difficult, awkward times, because that is graduation. That's graduation.
I love that so much.
You're awkward because you no longer sit in your little pond anymore. You've outgrown it. Time to go bigger.
Find that next pond, the next bigger pond.
Yep. It's time to that's how life works. You're either moving forward or going backwards. And, JT says this too, and it's the truth. You got to move forward, and you got to tell yourself, oh, I made a justification for that, because the truth is there was truth to that justification, but I just didn't want to.
Right.
I just didn't want to.
I just didn't want to. Well, I am so excited for you. I'm excited to have your book come out. And, if you have a few more minutes, I'd love to ask some questions about the book, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, we've talked about all the things you've been doing so far, and they're always with other people, right? When you're the voice coach, you're with another person. When you're in the recording studio, you're with a team. There's all these other people. But when you first sit down to write that book, it's just you and the page.
Yeah.
And that can be kind of a scary place, having that white page with to start from. So as you started this journey into becoming an author, how did that change for you? And what sort of edges did you come up against? Were like, oh, I didn't know I still had to deal with this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I realized when I first started the first book, then I started a second book, and I think I have 3 total. I realized I had more than one book, and I was trying to do a brain dump, and day 1, once upon a time. Okay, how do I say everything that I've learned? I think that it was a couple of things. One is, wow, I know a lot more than I realize, and I take these things for granted. And when I write them down, they don't seem so powerful to me because I do this every day. But when I read it to other people, they go, wow, that's amazing. And I'm like, that's amazing. That's what I do all day long. So I realized that some of the wisdom and education that I've gleaned and gained over the years, it may seem simple to me and not impactful, but it is very impactful to the people that will be reading it. Okay. That was like, okay, now that I understand that, I can start breaking things down into smaller bites so people can follow me easier. And I think that also I found myself writing like, well, this is why I did it, and here's why, and here's why, and here's why. And then I asked myself, why do I have to explain why? just give the wisdom. I mean, sometimes you need to give some background, but I think I've been questioned a lot about a lot of things and put on the spot in a way that, maybe somebody was trying to negatively direct the conversation. So maybe I've always been in, protect mode and always protecting myself. And well, this is why, and this is why. And I found myself doing that, going, oh, you know what? That's not part of it. Just give your truth, give your wisdom, give your education that you've learned. And it was such an incredible growing experience for me to write it down. And it was a proud moment for myself where I could say, good job that you outlasted all the difficulties and the negative mindsets and the doubts and the naysayers. And now you can write it. And I think somehow we all have some kind of book we can write. I think we have at least a story we can tell that's going to help the next person. And staring at that blank page was intimidating. And now it's like something clicks and you go, okay, now I get it. Now I get what I need to do. This is for this, this is for this. And I started, breaking things down. And now when I read it and I go back and look, it's almost done. And by the time this airs, you guys, it's out there and you're reading it now. It's tremendous because it gives everybody a pass to go out and explore their voice in the biggest and best way possible. And I'm not putting any parameters on anybody. Here's the place to practice. Here's what you're going to experience. Here are your options. Now go get it. And it was a proud moment. It's a proud moment. And proud moments. I'm still writing the other two.
I love that so much. I know when I started writing my book that I literally wrote like 5 different books before the final version came out because it changed. It kept changing directions as I was sitting with it. And there was one night I'll never forget. I woke up at 3:00 in the morning and it was just in my brain. And I was like, I can't just get my phone and like hook up voice notes and like, just like talk into it. Like I need to go. So I got up, quietly walked through the house, went to my office, shut the door, put on a side light, and I just busted out in like 5 hours, something that had been taking me 5 months to work on. So it's an interesting thing of how when it's ready to flow,
it is.
It just flows.
Your brain, but it takes a little time to put it all together, and then when it comes out, you're like, oh, and you're just like writing. Okay, I get it. Oh, I'll go back and fix this and move that over there, and you have those bursts.
Exactly. Then you can make all the tweaks. Well, April, this has been such a pleasure. I have enjoyed this conversation so much. I think so many great ways people can apply this to their life and realize they need your services. They need you. So how can the people find you?
Yes. So my voice training website is letthevoiceout.com. You can go there. There are going to be Monday night Zooms starting in October. On Monday nights, they are free. And it's to get you guys introduced to my book. And there's going to be a masterclass for speakers. And then the first quarter of next year will be my big vocal training book for singing, the long-awaited one that I've been working on for a long time. And that book, close to my heart. So that is coming soon, and I'm super excited for that. So letthevoiceout.com, go to aprildiamond.com for everything April Diamond. Is constantly changing. There's all kinds of things up there. I have the Diamond lifestyle up there, which that would be great. I'll come back and we'll talk about a few subjects because there are a few more things we could talk about.
I would love that so much. And everyone should follow you on Instagram. You are absolutely wonderful on there. You've got great lives, great content, great interactive community. So that I'm proud to be part of.
Yes, you are. Thank you so much for showing up to my lives. It's April Diamond Music on Facebook, April Diamond Music on Instagram. That's my big one where I go live all the time. And I have some videos up on my YouTube channel at April Diamond Official. I think my link tree is up there on my website too, where you can go to all the links are up there. But it's many things. And the thing too is if you have many things going on, then do all of them. And is it overwhelming? Sure. But just get to work.
For some people, that's okay.
Get it going. Tell the world your story, do your thing. Yeah. So I'm blessed and I'm excited. And I just want to thank you so much. You're a fantastic host. And
thank you.
Thank you for letting me tell my story. There's a lot more to tell, but that's a really heartfelt, honest, story from me of some of my moments in my life. And I appreciate you letting me tell that.
Well, thank you for being so honest and open and sharing in such a relatable and authentic and vulnerable way. And that just goes back to what an amazing coach you are to be able to harness that and help others harness it for themselves as well.
Thank you. And we'll chat.
Yes, we will.
We'll get together, do some things together.
I love it. I'm looking forward to it. And for the listeners, thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please make sure to like and share and subscribe so you can get more amazing content like this. If there's something that you're curious about, a different person, industry, profession, you want to learn more, reach out. I'll be happy to get them on as a guest. Until next time, everyone, have a great day.